everyone, this is Matthew Martin from VCCS Telecom, and today I'm going to show you how to use tcpdump and Wireshark to analyze VoIP packets with an asterisk-based switch or asterisk-based phone system. What you're going to need is SSH clients such as PuTTY. You're going to need WinSCP, Windows machine, and Wireshark. And okay, let's get started. What I have here is my asterisk box inside Linux here, and what I'm going to go ahead and do is start off with the commands that I need, and I'm going to go ahead and take a look here. Now this is the basic switches that I use for tcpdump. By the way, if you don't have tcpdump installed, you're going to go and do that from your Linux box using yum or apt-get or an RPM depending on your operating system. So you can do a yum install tcpdump, for example. So let's look at these switches here. So we're doing the tcpdump is the command, obviously, -w, so we're specifying an output file, which is here. I prefer to put it in the temp folder just to keep things straight and narrow. The -p, don't start in promiscuous mode. -n, we don't want to do name resolution, we're just going to use the IPs to capture. -s0, we want to capture the full frame, not just the first bytes of the packet, and the protocol. So UDP is what we're specifying because we're doing SIP over UDP as normal. Obviously you're not going to want to ignore TCP packets if you're using SIP over TCP or SIP over encryption. You're going to want to go ahead and capture all those packets. So I'm going to take the command with the switches and going to go ahead and dump that into SSH here. Now what I normally like to do is open two SSH boxes, one so I can be in the asterisk CLI and view the call that I'm going to make for testing purposes. The reason is because when I start the capture, you won't have access to the box anymore here. So that's up to you whether or not you want to see the CLI. So we've started the capture. Right now you can go ahead and make your call either from from X-Lite. You can make that call from your IP handset, or however you make your calls for testing. So after that's completed, you're going to stop the capture with a Control-C. Now it's going to tell you obviously the packets captured, received. If there's any packets dropped, no, I don't have any at the moment. If there was packets dropped, that's definitely something you want to look at as something perhaps is wrong with the network. That's definitely problematic. So now I've got that file saved, and I need to extract that onto my desktop. So what I'm going to do is use WinSCP, which allows me to log into the file system here. And I'm going to go into the temp folder where I saved. Navigate down to the bottom, and here's the file that we saved. I'm going to go ahead and copy that to a folder on my Windows machine. And I've already done one here, an asterisk fail. And so what I'd like to do is open this one here, and you're going to be running this in Wireshark, which is freely available. That didn't work here. Alright, so Wireshark's going to open this file up, and we're going to see all the packets that were captured on the network. What we want is specifically the VoIP packets. So we're going to go up to the telephony tab. We're going to click on VoIP. You also note that there's actually SIP, and there's just RTP if you want to just analyze the RTP streams, which is good for any jitter, echo, choppy calls. You know, you can jump right to RTP. So for this particular failed call that I had, it was a problem with one of my providers, and I could see here the state was rejected. And of course, when I had spoken with the provider, they were telling me that they have thousands and thousands of calls, and that they don't see why it would be their switch, and kind of a standard attitude sometimes in the industry. So of course I capped the packets, and I can go ahead here and I can hit the graph. What I'm going to see here is what the packet exchange was. My server did an invite using the 711 ULAW codec to the switch. They came back and said the funds are okay in the accounts. Click on it, you will get the debug in the background. Then their switch actually came back and said route cannot be found, and I acknowledged that, and I tore down the call. So I was able to take this back to the provider and say, I told you so. Your switch told me the route could not be found, and it's rejecting all calls to that particular area code. Other things you'll see in here could be, any 503 errors, 404s, invites denied. You may have unable to authenticate, and you'll be able to see in which direction that message came from or was going to. So a completed call has a bit more information. As you can see here, you have quite a bit more information on the whole negotiation and setup, teardown of the call, and that was a completed call. And furthermore, if you have some kind of jitter, like I was saying with the RTP stream or choppy calls, what we can do is go ahead and analyze that call using the player. We'll have to take a completed call, and the player will allow us to decode the RTP stream. We have the caller and the callee. We can see if there was any jitter. 0.9 in this case, that's a low and acceptable level, which is not an issue. So if we click both these checkboxes, we can use the player, and it's actually going to play back the entire conversation that did happen. And what we're going to do is, if we feel like there's echo, or we know there's echo or jitter on the line, and after listening to the call, we can listen to each side individually and pinpoint from which side that came from to help for further analysis. So that's basically it. I hope you got some good information from this and it was helpful. I appreciate your time, and I will leave a link in the bottom section of the comments here to the website that I use for further information on using tcpdump and the switches, and you can go ahead and check their site out if you would like to know more information. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.